as well. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that. So yeah, I'm Gmoney. I'm well known for buying my CryptoPunk ape almost 2 years ago at this point, and I'm the founder and creative director of 90cc, which is a crypto native luxury lifestyle brand focused on bringing blockchain technology into the real world. And if you want to keep up to all the things that I'm doing, the 90cc account, which is here on stage, we actually just announced an activation for Art Basel yesterday with Snowfro, who is the creator of the Chromie Squiggle.
Yeah, thank you. Let me translate it. Gmoney 刚才说到，就是 9DCC 是一个加密货币空间原生的这样的一个时尚品牌，然后 Gmoney 也在昨天和 Squiggle 团队的这个队员一起合作，看看怎么样为 9DCC 接下来的发展做进一步的一个铺垫。对，这大概是他对 9DCC 的一个简单的介绍。
Asking in terms of from the crypto side or from the fashion side?
From the fashion side.
Yeah, I think that I think it's just lack of knowledge, right? And just really wanting to make sure that they do the right thing, right? Like, I know that I can speak personally from my conversations of people, of fashion executives around in the space, that they're in the learning phase. They want to make sure that they do it right. I think they understand that this is a huge innovation, but they're really just, and they're trying to make sure that they understand the process so that they can ultimately go down the route that they want to go, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you talk to them, what are their major concerns about entering the space?
Yeah, I'd say number one for any brand, whether it's fashion or, like just any brand from the legacy world, the number one thing is brand equity, right? Is they don't want to come into the space and do something that will be detrimental to their brand and to their message. And I think that is the number one thing that slows them down. On top of the fact that this is a brand new space, right? So the technology is brand new. The ways of doing business are brand new. So, a lot of times things get slowed down because they have to go through, the corporate structure, they have to go through legal, and they have to make sure that the messaging is right. So I think that there's a ton of interest, but I do think that they're just moving slowly, because when you take a look at where we are right now compared to where we were a year ago, I'd say, the NFT craze was like in full effect, and people were saying, okay, we need to have an NFT project like tomorrow. And now I think because of the pullback in the market, they can afford to take their time, move a little slower, be more thoughtful about it.
Yeah, thank you, Gmoney. Yeah, let me translate it first. 对，然后这里我和大家翻译一下。刚才 Marisa 问了 Gmoney， 对于他而言，当下的时尚产业面临怎样的挑战，以及 NFT 技术的出现为时尚产业带来了怎样的契机？Gmoney 认为说，时尚产业通过他与时尚产业内部人士的对话，他了解到这个 NFT 技术是非常具有创新性和潜力的前瞻性技术但是目前产业内的人在运用这个技术的时候还面临着一些不确定性需要他们提高一些关于技术上的一个认知。对，然后接下来 Marisa 问了一下目前时尚产业内的专业人士对于进入 NFT 这一块有什么样的一个忧虑。对， Gmoney 回答说是他们都不希望自己的时尚品牌在进入 NFT 空间之后品牌的一个调性受到损害。对，因此时尚产业内的许多人都仍然担心说包括在这个公司架构以及公司的一个品牌设计上需要有更多的时间去考虑。对，同时 Gmoney 也提到说因为目前 NFT 是处于熊市，和1年前相比大家的这个整体的发售规划都没有那么赶了，因此也能够有时间潜下心来 做一些更长远的一个事情。这大概是刚才大家的谈话内容。Yeah, give it back to Marisa. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Gmoney, I think it's really interesting that you say that because at Live Art, we bring kind of traditional legacy blue chip artists into the space as well. And we actually are working with Huang Eugene, who's this incredible kind of legacy artist, contemporary artist. And I find in my discussions with legacy artists that the main concern is their own legacy, right? And jumping into the space takes a lot more thought and careful consideration. Disco, I wanted to ask you on top of that, we're talking about what it takes to get people into the space, but how do you kind of explain, to the fashion world in particular, what the new potentials are of using NFT technology in the sector?
So right now, I feel like most of the fashion retail companies are looking into blockchain to eliminate the fake luxury items. For example, if you buy a Hermes Birkin bag, if you get an NFT instead of a physical guarantee card, which can also be faked, you can also throw in possibly Tyler Hobbs as a generative design on the guarantee card, so you can give it a little more incentive to sales while eliminate the fake luxury good. And then also now that you're able to link your NFTs to Instagram or Meta, right? These fashion companies, you can identify and pinpoint your real customer and the real influencers in the space much more easily. So that also saves their costs on advertising. And I feel like we're sort of all aware that the metaverse is coming, whether it's AR or VR glasses, or our screens are just getting bigger and bigger. So for fashion industry it's natural, it's almost natural for them to tapping into the gaming industry, which has a lot more profit than music and film industry all combined. And being able to get in this digital fashion, it allows a lot of brands to sell much cheaper goods to a broad array of new audiences. And I believe right now we're seeing new business models being explored by LVMH. So Tiffany, Takua, Rimowa, they're all trying to different models with CryptoPunks, right? And Nike is also they bought Artifact, right? They're trying different models of giving their Clone X holders only merch, and it would be very interesting if we can see it goes into bigger scale games like Fortnite, like 2-3 years ago when Travis Scott came into the game, right? Like you can't host a fashion show with 28 million players at the same time, but you can do that with the metaverses right now, and the many more is to come. So I think that's several ways of how fashion industry can explore or test out pilot in the NFT space.
Yeah, thank you. 这里我来和大家分享一下，刚才第四提到，就是NFT对于时尚产业的巨大变革的一个创新点是在于说，在传统的时尚产业中，不管是这个时尚单品还是更大的时尚品，比如说豪车，他们都面临一个造假问题。但是通过与 NFT 相联系的话，时尚产业可以轻易的将造假这个问题进行一个很好的解决。同时，时尚产业也可以通过 NFT 技术去发掘更合适的一个消费群受众，从而减少一个市场营销的成本。对，然后现在来看的话，包括一些更传统的时尚品牌，比如说这个 Louis Vuitton 以及其他的这个消费品牌，也正在寻求进入 NFT 空间的一个机会。对，包括与 CryptoPunks就是CryptoPunks Collection 去进行一个合作。对， 然后同时 Disco 也认为在未来的2年或3年内，随着 NFT 技术的广泛应用，我们也许可以在不久的将来就能够在 Metaverse 中同成千上万的观众一起观看一场非常精彩的 Fashion Show。 对，这大概是我这边的翻译，谢谢。Yeah, give it back to Marisa.
Yeah. So thank you for that, guys. I think it's really interesting what you just said, Disco. It's kind of like there's two different avenues. It's using blockchain technology as something that is kind of useful, authenticity, ownership, which is something that is also very common in the art world. And then it's using it as a kind of creative, expressive medium within the metaverse as well. Wanted to ask you both, actually, what are your expectations? Like, how do you see ideally kind of the future development within this space, both in the metaverse space and also the use in the physical, in real life space as well? Or ideally, like, what would your suggestions be as people become more interested and as companies dive deeper into this space?
Yeah, I think initially you're going to have most of the interest happen in the real world, right? Because I just don't think the technology is there yet for mass adoption in the metaverse. It's coming, but I think ultimately the tech just isn't there just quite yet. So I think as we look at adoption, to me, the things that I find the most interesting is bringing the technology into the real world, right? So, the interesting thing I did with iteration 01, which we literally just delivered to our vault yet on Thursday. I'm sorry, which we literally just delivered to our vault on Thursday, is that we now have this technology in the shirts, right? There's an NFC chip in every shirt that links it to an NFT that acts as proof of authenticity. But then furthermore, it allows that community building to begin to happen in real life. To the points that Disco was just talking about, is that now each person that wears that shirt can become a brand ambassador and help build the community, both for themselves, right, in their network, but also for the community at large.
Yeah, thank you. Let me translate it. 对 Gmoney 和 Marisa 刚才在谈论 NFT 技术在现实生活中的一个大量运用。对，虽然Gmoney 认为目前NFT 技术还没有到 mass adoption 大量运用的这个阶段，但我们现在阶段很多的这个数字时尚项目的团队也在观望和评估各种去应用技术的方案。包括Gmoney提到在周四的时候，他们一起为这个9DCC 的产品设计了一个就是穿着加上 NFT 技术的一个解决方案意思是在我们的这个9DCC 品牌的衣服中植入 NFT 相关的信息，让我们的这个时尚单品的拥有者能够在现实生活中也能够享受到 NFT 技术带来的一个碰撞，同时也希望通过这样的技术能够在 IRL 就是在现实生活中去壮大更多的这个社区的群体。Yeah, give it back to Marisa.
I think it's a really good.
刚才说到其实对于目前的数字时尚单品而言，存在一种声音认为数字时尚产品比较缺乏较传统的时尚产品缺乏美感与设计。想问一下因此这个问题是想问一下 Gmoney 和 Marisa 是对怎么看待这个问题的。Yeah, give it to Gmoney.
Yeah, so I think that's a really good question. I think the interesting thing is, and I had a lot of conversations in the contemporary art world last year, and I've been having a lot of conversations in the fashion world this year. And I will say one of the stark differences that I've noticed is that the fashion space is much more open to the idea of the technology than I would say the traditional art world has been, at least initially. And I don't think anybody's questioning the creativity and the beauty of design, right? I think one of the really cool things about, digital fashion in the metaverse is that you're no longer held back by the laws of physics, right? So you can make, a suit that is burning on fire if you wanted to, right? It's like you're not really hampered by that. So I don't think that there's been any question with regards to design, right? Because I also think that fashion itself has probably gone through a similar struggle, right, over the last 20 years, where maybe the contemporary art world may have said, oh, well, fashion isn't art, and designers and creative directors were saying, yes, it is art because it is an expression that I want to put out there. So I haven't seen any pushback whatsoever on, oh, well, this isn't fashion or this isn't design because it's done in a digital format. To me, I think that they've been very understanding of their different ways and different outputs for creativity to be shared, and it's been accepted. It's been more curious than rejection from the fashion space.
Yeah, let me translate it. 像刚才针对 Maurice 的问题，他的回答是这是一个非常有趣的问题，但是Gmoney 认为这个问题其实是毋庸置疑的，那就是我们的这个数字时尚单品和传统时尚单品是一样具有美感与质感的。对，而且Gmoney举例说，比如可以通过 VR 或者说是其他的数字技术，我们能够让时尚单品出现一些在现实生活中无法出现的这个效果与特效。对，而且Gmoney也看到说目前时尚单品在数字时尚单品在推广的过程中没有来自这一方面的阻力。对，大家都会认同说这是艺术，而且这是和传统时尚单品一样具有美感的技术。Yeah, give it back to Marisa, and maybe Marisa could also share some thoughts on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think with CryptoPunks, we see that community is just so important to the initiatives of NFTs. I guess I'll talk to one of the CryptoPunks to kind of share your thoughts on how important it is to have kind of a strong community, no matter what the project is going forward.
Yeah, I can start with that. I think CryptoPunks show us, right, that you don't need utility for NFTs to have some sort of value, right? When I first initially bought my CryptoPunk and my CryptoPunks, I was very convicted that at some point in the future, they would be held by museums, right? And if they were held by museums, this was something that I wanted to buy really early on at the outset. And I never really thought about it from a community perspective. I thought about it purely from an investment perspective, long term, of where I thought digital assets were going. And one of the interesting things as I got deeper and deeper into the NFT community at large was I realized just how strong the punk community is, and just how important that is, right? Where a lot of times you talk about some NFT project and people are just focused on the price, and people are just focused on what's being done to send the price higher. CryptoPunks are fortunate enough that they don't have to have that, right? It's like, I'm in a couple chats with fellow CryptoPunks, and like the conversations are great, right? The community is great. People are helping each other out, and I'm sure that especially within the Chinese market, the CryptoPunk holders like experience the same thing, right? Where it's almost like you're a member of this community by owning this punk, and I think that just proves the whole model of what a lot of communities are trying to build, is they're trying to emulate that, and I think CryptoPunks have been able to do it really, really well. And I think part of the reason is because there is no quote unquote utility that comes with it, right? It's like you buy a CryptoPunk. Like I remember the first time I saw CryptoPunks, I thought that they were ugly. And then as I spent more time looking at them, I realized how beautiful they were. And I now, I love CryptoPunks. When somebody, when I see people's CryptoPunks, I'm like, oh, that's a beautiful punk. I love it. That's great. And I think that to me, like CryptoPunks are probably the number one representation of what a strong community does in the long run.
Yeah, thank you. Let me translate it. 对 Gmoney 刚才谈到了自己对 CryptoPunks 的一个想法。对 Gmoney 说，CryptoPunks 其实不需要这个赋能来体现自己的内在价值。当 Gmoney 一开始去购买 CryptoPunks 的时候，Gmoney 是没有从这个就是赋能 utility 的角度去想的，他而是会认为 CryptoPunks 在未来一定会出现在博物馆的展览当中。对，因此Gmoney 也认为 CryptoPunks 的成功的一个重要原因是它的背后有一个非常强壮的一个社区。对，当大家发现说 CryptoPunks 的价格已经涨到了上百以太的时候，CryptoPunks 的社区的会员以及大佬们不会认为说这是一件多么了不起的事情，而是在继续扎实的做社区建设，包括相互帮忙以及相互做活动。对，因此 Gmoney 也认为说中国市场的 CryptoPunk 的持有者们也是整个全球 CryptoPunk 持有者社区的重要的组成部分，而且也会使得全球的 CryptoPunk 的影响力更加的强壮。对，这也会让更多的项目NFT 项目想要模仿 CryptoPunks 的发展路径。对，人们会慢慢的花时间去接受 CryptoPunks 的一个内在美感。对，这是Gmoney对 CryptoPunks 的一个大概的一个想法。Yeah, give it back to Marisa.
Thanks. Just to follow up on that, wondering if Disco has anything to add about the value of community for specifically fashion projects. It's kind of interesting what you were saying, Gmoney, too, because, when we enter into a more commercial sphere, it's like, is it, community brand identity become a little bit merged? And I was wondering if Disco, you had any thoughts on that?
Hi. So I recently, back in June, I joined. There's this other D app that the Punks made. It's called Punks Club. It's from what I've seen, we're sort of seeing this digital Rotary Club of builders gathered together, sharing resources, mingling, and just built in the space. And it's in a model like that, smaller scale projects can be easily funded or made by the Punks and funded by the Punks. So I don't think I play a lot of video games before, right? So you join a lot of guilds, but once the game gone sour or they're just not in hype anymore, the guild or a community sort of disassembled. But that's not what happens in Discord. Like CryptoPunks community has been there for 5 years right now and going, and we could see that most of the Web3 projects from OpenSea.
Yeah, can you hear us?
Hello?
I somehow can't hear you. Can Marisa hear you?
I can hear you, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I just think that, like, you can see, Gmoney just mentioned Snowfro, R Blocks, OpenSea, pretty much all the builders in the space are from this historical Discord during the past 5 years, and that's amazing. Like, the whole space is pretty much built by CryptoPunks, and then we do believe that NFT grails are Web3 grails. So like a lot of new riches from blockchain, they see NFTs, they see CryptoPunk as sort of an ultimate luxury item / a nameplate for themselves in the space. So the community on internet is like we haven't seen such thing like Web3 Rotary Club, but we're witnessing one in CryptoPunks right now. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, that's
thank you.
Interesting. I think it's great. We have I think we have Moonlight back. Do you hear?
Yeah, can you hear me? Sorry, my mic is somehow not working very well. Yeah, I will translate it. 对，刚才 Disco 和大家讲到说，这个 NFT 技术在过去2-3年的整体的发展脉络，他认为不管是从交易所还是从项目方的这个整体的运营方式，以及从社区的发展上来看 ，NFT 在过去几年的发展都是非常成功的。对，而且他相信 NFT 会在未来激发更多的创意性，包括在这个 collectible 以及在奢侈品上的一个创意性。对，而且Disco 也相信说在未来人们会花更多的时间在 NFT 空间当中来融入这一切。对，他也非常期待看到在未来有这个更多的发展。Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I will also ask 陈旭 Yeah, how do you think can you please express your expectation for the project's future development of CryptoPunks and maybe some suggestions as well? 对，在这里我也想问一下陈旭老师，您作为资深的这个 CryptoPunk OG， 您认为CryptoPunk 这个项目在未来的发展的话，会有一些怎样的期许，以及您个人有怎样的一个建议？谢谢。
好，谢谢主持人。我觉得 CryptoPunk 这个项目可以从两方面来看。一方面来讲 CryptoPunk 这个项目在我看来已经完成了它的所有的既定的任务如果就像刚才这个 Gmoney 所说的，如果我们去做了第一个有创举性的创新的项目的时候不管是我们是像中本聪那样去发明了比特币，还是我们去发行了 CryptoPunk， 那我觉得我们都可以把这种创新视为是完成了我们的任务。我们不能指望一个在非常早期的市场阶段和技术的发展当中发展起来的这样的一个项目，不断的在它完全没有的这个路线图上面不断的去延伸，然后和后来者在技术层面，在商业模式的层面上面去进行竞争，因为这本来就不是它的任务所以从这个角度来讲，我觉得 CryptoPunk 很好的在NFT 的早期，因为大家都知道它本身其实都不是一个 NFT 的智能合约，给了大家很好的一个启发，同时整个的最终引爆了我们现在所看到的这个繁荣的 NFT 的市场。所以在这种情况下面，我觉得 CryptoPunk 已经完成了它的历史的任务，也因此而获得了它独特的历史和时间线上的价值，而这种价值是不可磨灭和撤销的这个是一个方面。但另外一个方面来讲，我们可以看到很多人觉得 CryptoPunk 的这个项目方式很佛系的，或者说甚至有抱怨他们有段时间并没有怎么做事，和后来的一些非常激进的非常 aggressive 的一些项目方相比起来CryptoPunk 的这个持有方甚至最后还把项目给卖掉了。但是我恰恰觉得，第一，它是基于任务完成而把项目卖掉，在商业上并无不可之处。第二，恰恰是它的无作为揭示了 NFT 社区的我们一直讲的 community 的一个非常重要的一个特质。这个特质使得 NFT 也就是非同质化令牌或者非同质化代币在未来的监管当中会不被视为是一种证券。我们知道现在是全球的加密市场的监管周期，所以全球尤其是以美国为主要的监管方都在制定对于加密市场的各种监管的规定。非常重要的一个标准就是不管是 FT 也就是同质化代币还是 NFT 非同质化代币，在什么情况下它实质上就是传统的证券 security。 那这种监管实际上是非常非常重要的一个市场的制度的变革，也是对于这个市场非常大的一个影响的一个动作。但是 对于一个传统的证券而言，我们去创办一家公司，做一个商业，我们有一个非常清晰的一个项目方，然后其他的参与者其实就是一个投资人啊，他们不管是早期的一级市场的投资人 VC， 还是二级市场的我们证券的投资者，实际上都是投资人的角色，所以他们之间的法律的责任和义务、权利，实际上就是以证券来作为一个界定的标准的。但是恰恰是 NFT 的社区完全可以是不一样的，而 CryptoPunk 加密朋克正是揭示了这样一种不一样。这种不一样在于，首先项目方，所谓的项目方在发行了 NFT 之后，其实并没有一个清晰的路线图大家注意，这个不是说他故意隐藏，或者说是这个不揭示他的路线图，像有的项目方一样，而是他确实没有路线图。所以这种情况下面，大家加入进来的时候，这个社区会长成什么样子，项目方自己也不知道。这个项目会长成什么样子，是由社区共同来决定的。也就是说，所有的社区的参加者，所有的 CryptoPunk 的 holders， 甚至是 former holders， 他们都是这个社区的一份子，他们决定社区向什么方向去走。有一部分人可以这么走，有一部分人可以那么走。大家怎么去使用 CryptoPunk， 如何去使用它的影响力，去增加它的价值，如何在上面去延展各种商业和非商业的可能性，实际上这个完全是由社区来决定的。也就是说，这些看似购买了 Punk 的人，这些看似收藏和投资了 Punk 的人，实际上也是 Punk 的路线的决定者，也是 Punk 未来的决定者，也是社区的核心。这种双面性使得这样的 NFT 不可能成其为一个证券，也不应该受到类似证券这样的监管，而这个恰恰是加密市场的神奇之处，也正是 NFT 这样一种智能合约所带来的技术变革所形成的完全创新的社区的力量，给我们带来的完全不同的未来。而这种未来不是以过去的陈旧的监管科技和监管制度，包括法律法规所能够去限定的。这个恰恰是我觉得是 CryptoPunk 给我们这个世界，给我们的加密市场，乃至给我们整个人类社会的未来带来不可思议的一种变化，也是它真正的一个巨大的价值所以我是从这个两点来看待 CryptoPunk 这个项目的。谢谢主持人。
Yeah, thank you for sharing this. I'll do the translation. Yeah, 88 Punk has just mentioned that we could understand the CryptoPunk project from two aspects. The first one is that CryptoPunks has actually achieved the initial goal and aim that has set for it. Yeah, as you know, CryptoPunks, when CryptoPunks came out, it was not a formal smart contract, and there are other technology issues with it. But the CryptoPunks has made it, even though there are so many hardship and obstacles, and and it is the release of CryptoPunks that we could see the NFT market boom in these few years. Yeah, and the second aspects that we could understand the CryptoPunks is that CryptoPunks, even though that there is no roadmap and utility that has set for CryptoPunks, it has been fully decided by the community members on what the project will head to in the future. So Chen thinks that this feature has made CryptoPunks very unique, considering that there are many regulators right at this moment that want to make sure that NFT will not grow into securities in the future. So CryptoPunks has all these things that needed to avoid this. and it has give the rights back to the community to decide where they should go. Yeah, and Chen thinks that this is great because this is very unique, and there are many other projects that are mimicking this model. So yeah, Chen thinks that CryptoPunks, the release of CryptoPunks has bring the great innovation to not only to the NFT space but also to the whole human society. Yeah, give it back to Marisa. Thanks.
Thank you. I think this has been a really interesting conversation, and I think we have time maybe for one more question. And I'd actually like to ask it of everybody on the panel. You know, we're talking about kind of expanding this space, expanding the community. Just final question, final thoughts on, given your experience, you know, where do you see this space, fashion, NFTs, you know, in the next year, in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years?
Yeah, thank you. Let me translate it. 对，Marisa 提到说，因为考虑到我们今天 AMA 活动的时间也差不多了，那剩下来我们可以和大家一起讨论一个问题，然后请每位嘉宾都做一次发言。对，然后 Marisa 提到说，想问一下各位嘉宾，你们是怎么认为时尚产业与 NFT 技术在未来的结合与融合的发展趋势的？对，你这样认为的一个主要原因是什么？对 ，Yeah, maybe Gmoney could firstly make some comments on this. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, to be perfectly honest, your guess is as good as mine. I'm working I'm working on things that I want to see, right? So the things that I'm trying to solve for is, one, I wanted to create an aesthetic that I wanted to wear, right? Which I think is really evident with the first design of 90cc. And then two is I want to get that verifiable scarcity, right? So it's if I buy something and I know how many of them exist, then I know how valuable it is, right? And then three is I think the community building aspect is something that's going to become really, really big in the future. I think that these are probably the building blocks from where the future of the space evolves to. But, you know, I don't know anybody on the stage could tell you accurately where the space will be in 12 months, let alone in 5 years. But regardless, I think it's super exciting. And I think a lot of industries, not just fashion, will be disrupted over the next 5 to 10 years, you know. And I think an interesting thing too is, especially in Asia, is how does this affect the manufacturing process and get more technology involved in physical products, which I think is a conversation I'm always open to having. So, you know, if people that are listening have ideas or solutions or new technologies that incorporate tech, those are conversations I'm always open to having.
Yeah, thank you. I will translate it. But I'm a bit sorry that my internet connection is kind of weak. So, yeah, I will try to translate it. 对，刚才 Gmoney 提到说，对于 NFT 未来的这几年的NFT 与时尚产业结合发展的一个趋势来看的话，他认为第一点是一个非常大的发展方向是我们的 NFT 会与可穿戴的这样的时尚单品去进行一个结合，这也是目前 Gmoney 和 9DCC 正在做的一个事情。对，然后第二点的话，Gmoney 也提到说，在未来5年NFT 的技术的这个价值会更多会逐步体现在时尚产业的运用当中。对，这同时不仅包括对消费者的一个价值的一个体现包括在情感以及在这个虚拟世界中的一个运用，更多的也可以体现在说时尚产业的整体的一个生产流程以及整体的制造工艺上会有一个更大的技术突破。对，而且Gmoney也特别提到说，这样的生产技术的突破可能是会发生在亚洲。对，然后Gmoney也想其他的嘉宾同时来和我们大家一起分享一下是怎么看待这个问题的。对 也许的话，我们可以邀请南瓜来和我们一起分享一下吗？ Yeah, I will give it to 南瓜。Thanks.
Hi there. I can basically use English to answer those questions. Basically, I believe it's definitely a trend that fashion is ultimately going to become combination with NFTs, because you can have like a really broad imagination stuff on the NFTs that you can't actually do in the like real life society, right? Like if I wanted to make a fashion design of like a flaming blade, you can't actually make that in the real life, but NFT can actually bring you to that phase where you can actually make a flame blade in Web3 place. And another thing is from like a profitable perspective, I reckon if you get like fashion combined with NFTs, it can make it like push it to one more luxury size. So basically, instead of it's like purely a fashion product, it's more like luxuries. I reckon actually artists can get much more profit from that. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, thank you. I'll translate it. 对，刚才南瓜也提到说，他认为 NFT 技术与时尚产业在未来的融合是具有非常大的想象力的。对，因为目前来看的话，Web3 的这个时尚单品，它是拥有传统时尚单品不能具有的一些特效与效果，而这些效果能够给我们的消费者带来非常的价值与非常大的一个价值体现。对，而正是因为是在这样的Web3 的空间当中， NFT 与 Fashion 相结合之后，我们的这个 Fashion 的设计师和艺术家也可以有更多的机会来参与到其中，而且从中获得更多的一个效益和收益。对，这是我这边的翻译。Yeah, thank you. Maybe Disco could share some thoughts on this as well. Thanks.
Sure. I think in 5 years, most of the people will have a cold wallet and own some sort of digital assets. So it's kind of inevitable for you to buy a Hermes or a Rolex and get an NFT. I believe in 5 years, these kind of model will be explored a lot. And I'm not sure about 10 years, but I've seen this tech or this which supposedly in 10 to 15 years you'll be able to own your every design of every clothing that you bought, and being able to print it again and again locally to save costs and to comply with the sustainability compliances that we have right now. So I am not in fashion industry, but I've seen some videos regards to that. 那我直接 I can translate myself. I think 我觉得那个大概在5年到10年内，5年内呢，可能每一个人都会有一个冷钱包。那大型的牌子像是 LV 跟 Rolex 在销售你产品的过程中，你应该会收到NFT。那这个 NFT 可能也是可以同时当保卡跟防伪以外呢，可能它也会是一个 3D 的 objects， 可以让你在游戏里面去穿梭跟使用。那5年期应该这些大品牌他们所用的销售策略都会顺畅的把 NFT 送到你手上。那至于10年的话呢，我们知道的目前的科技在研发的方向大概是说你应该会每次买衣服的时候，你会拥有它的这个衣服的 design。那因为2030我们会有一个这个巴黎协议，就是针对环保方面的一些法规会越来越严谨。那在应该是你可以拥有你的衣服的这个设计，并且可能在你的城市周围的这个衣服 3D 列印工厂去把它重复的这个印刷出来。所以这是我们都大概知道的，就是流行产业如果是这样10年可能会有发生的一些情况。谢谢。
Yeah, thank you, Disco, for your insightful inputs. Yeah, I guess maybe Token Brother has something to say on this as well. 对，谢谢Disco 的精彩分享。然后我们也想请通证一哥来和我们谈一下自己对于 NFT 技术以及时尚产业在未来5到10年结合的一个预期以及自己的一个想法。对，谢谢。
好的，谢谢主持人。我觉得首先我们可以肯定的讲，大家可以听到吧？我担心我的网络不好。
可以的啊。
首先我们可以肯定的讲啊，人类社会一定会进入到数字世界，一定会进入元宇宙当中。那么在元宇宙当中呢，它是要做一个跟我们现实世界完全媲美的一个类似于真实世界的一个新世界，一个新的宇宙。所以说在这个新的宇宙当中呢，时尚呢是不可或缺的一部分。要不要先翻译一下这部分？
Yeah, okay, thank you. Let me translate it. Yeah, Token Brother has just mentioned that we human beings will eventually enter metaverse in the future, and the fashion industry is amassed not only in the Web2 space but also in the Web3 space. Yeah.
所以说在这个元宇宙当中呢，这个我们人的这个虚拟化身啊，在里边的话，它也有这个时尚的需求啊，所以说呢，这个整个时尚产业呢会转移到新的元宇宙当中。所以说呢，未来这个时尚呢会分为2种啊。第一种呢是这个元宇宙里边的原生的时尚，就是我们这些原生的 IP 原生的一些时尚的东西啊。第二种呢就是传统的一些时尚产业向这个元宇宙当中转移。请先翻译这段吧。
Okay, yeah, thank you. Let me translate it. Token Brother has just mentioned that in the metaverse, people will need avatars for fashion and for exhibition. And he thinks that there will be 2 kinds of fashion firms and models in the future. The first one is that the crypto native fashion that has been grown and being developed in the crypto space from a very early stage, and it may be like GDCC, IDCC, yeah. And the second kind of fashion is the fashion firms and luxury houses that has transmitted and that has transferred from Web2 space, yeah. And he can share more thoughts on it in later, yeah.
就是说呢，所以说第一种呢，传统时尚进入这个元宇宙新世界里面，这个 NFT 呢也起到了很重要的作用。将来呢，可能在这个线下门店买东西的时候每买一件东西呢，里面都会有一个芯片，我们用手机可以扫码，同时呢有它的这个链上的确权的一些数据。第二种呢，原生的时尚呢，就是我们在 NFT 里面，在 Web3 在元宇宙领域自发诞生的一些原生的一些这种穿戴，一些虚拟穿戴这些东西呢可能会向链下拓展，进一步有一些实物的空投这些东西。不管怎么讲呢，他们这些呢时尚呢，包括这个传统世界向虚拟世界走，还是说原生的这些时尚都需要这个 NFT 作为一个工具所以说呢，未来呢 NFT 在这个时尚产业当中扮演着非常重要的几乎是具有决定性的作用好的，我的发言完了，谢谢主持人。
Yeah, thank you. 对，谢谢。让我这边来翻译一下。Yeah, let me translate it. Yeah, Token Brothers has shared with us that the first kind of fashion that is transmitted from Web2 space, yeah, it will be implemented in the from the the real life. And he just gives us an example that when we are trying to buy something in the marketplace, we could scan the QR code and see the all the info that linked to the product and fashion goods. Yeah, that's the kind of fashion that he thinks will be as the transmitted fashion. Yeah, and the second kind of fashion that is crypto native fashion. Yeah, and he thinks that crypto native fashion means that these products are originally developed from the Web3 space, and people can, build avatars and, wear these digital fittings in the metaverse. And he could also, have these goods printed in the real world from Web3 to Web2. Yeah, and he sums up with that he thinks now no matter it's the transmitted fashion or the crypto native fashion, all of them need NFT technology to bridge the consumers with the metaverse, with the goods, with the fashion fittings. Yeah, so NFT will play a decisional role in this process. Yeah, that's how he sees this question. Yeah. I'll also invite Nick to share thoughts on this. Yeah.
好的。
接下来我
那个主持人可以把这句也翻译一下。对，因为今天我们发言的这个问题也已经接近尾声了，然后我想最后再介绍一下我们这个 CryptoPunks 社区。那华语 CryptoPunks 社区是我和几位 co-founder 在2021年建立的。那目前我们社区是国内会员质量最高，持有人资产价值最高，区块链信仰最强的一个中文社区，但也是全球华人唯一的 CryptoPunks 专业社区。那今天很高兴邀请到像Gmoney 啊，还有我们社区的很多海内外的这些 Punk 的超级 OG 来到参与我们这个 AMA。那我们未来也会举办更加多的高质量的 AMA。那欢迎大家关注我们社区，谢谢。